we will focus mostly on what is the science behind natural farming and why we should do natural farming. ఒకటి ఢిల్లీరావు గారు కంపారిజన్ ఇచ్చారు. సో ఐ జస్ట్ వాంట్ టు కామెంట్ ఆన్ దట్ బిఫోర్ ఐ మూవ్ ఫార్వర్డ్. సో ఇది ఆయుర్వేద హోమియోపతి వర్సెస్ అలోపతి అన్నారు కదా. సో ఐ వాంట్ టు మేక్ ఎ డిస్టింక్షన్ దేర్. సో ఇట్స్ నాట్ లైక్ ఆయుర్వేద వర్సెస్ అలోపతి. ఇట్ ఈజ్ లైక్ మీకు మతికుంటుంది అందరికీ, ఒకప్పుడు పీపుల్ థాట్ ద అర్త్ వాజ్ ఫ్లాట్, రైట్? Then Galileo had to show that the earth is round. So it is that jump in science. Or Newton's laws of motion, that's called classical physics. It was overturned by quantum. So I would like you to keep this comparison in mind rather than allopathy and Ayurveda. So this is emerging science. Special CS గారు చెప్పారు మీకు. ఇప్పుడు కూడా కొన్ని విషయాలు నేను చెప్పేది రీసెర్చ్ ఇస్ స్టిల్ హ్యాపెనింగ్. సో ద రోల్ ఆఫ్ మైక్రోబ్స్ ఈజ్ స్టిల్ నాట్ ఫుల్లీ అండర్స్టూడ్. సో నౌ ఇప్పుడు మనము న్యాచురల్ ఫార్మింగ్ చేయాల్సింది ఫస్ట్ టాస్క్ ఇస్ ఫార్మర్స్ ప్రాస్పెరిటీ, నాట్ సింప్లీ వెల్బీయింగ్. రైతులు సంపన్నులుగా మారాల. దెన్ హెల్త్ ఫర్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ అస్, అవర్ హెల్త్ షుడ్ ఇంప్రూవ్. దెన్ క్లైమేట్ రెసిలియన్స్. But the one I have shaded is now emerging as the most important one, as cooling the planet. You are aware, last 12 months, world temperature record chuste, this was every month has been the hottest month on record. Every month. Not just in Guntur or in Andhra Pradesh, talking of the whole world. అండ్ ప్యారిస్ కన్వెన్షన్ ఒకటి జరిగింది, కాప్, వెరీ ఫేమస్ కన్వెన్షన్. అప్పుడు ప్రపంచ గ్లోబల్ వార్మింగ్ షుడ్ నాట్ ఎక్సీడ్ 1.5 degrees సెంటిగ్రేడ్ అనేది ఒక దేశాలన్నీ ఒక అగ్రిమెంట్కి వచ్చాయి. దట్ వాజ్ బ్రీచ్డ్ ఇన్ దిస్ లాస్ట్ 12 months. సో సైంటిస్ట్స్ అక్రాస్ ద వరల్డ్ ఆర్ వరీడ్. సో cooling of the planet is the most important objective for our survival. రైతులు అందరినీ మర్చిపోండి. Just think of yourself. So your own survival is linked with how world takes action on this. So that is so there are 4 objectives, and program start చేయడం was for the purpose of farmers prosperity. The basis was 2014-15లో we distributed lot of input subsidy. అనంతపురంలో మతుకుంటుంది మీకు అందరికీ, ఒక 600 కోట్లు 700 కోట్లు ఇన్పుట్ సబ్సిడీస్ ఇవ్వటం జరిగింది. 2015లో రైతుల ఆత్మహత్యలు కూడా చాలా జరిగాయి. So I still remember there was a meeting and I told the Honorable Chief Minister that we'll come with a permanent solution. But at that time my focus was farmers' prosperity, or see that farmers make more money. Right. So just today's snapshot, ekkadunnam anedi. So this Special CS garu చాలా విషయాలు చెప్పారు. బట్ 2016లో స్టార్ట్ చేయడం కూడా ఎక్కడైతే గతంలో సర్ప్లో మన ఢిల్లీరావు గారు చెప్పినట్లు NPM CMSA స్టార్ట్ చేసిన ఏ గ్రామాలు బాగా పర్ఫామ్ చేస్తున్నాయి అని అప్పుడు రాయుడు గారు సర్ప్ వాళ్ళతో మాట్లాడి we picked up, because there were 13 districts at that time, so we picked up equal number of villages in every district. ఎక్కడైతే they were already performing the best, అక్కడ ప్రోగ్రామ్ ఇంప్లిమెంటేషన్ కూడా మంచి CRPs ఫ్రమ్ ఆల్ ఓవర్ ద స్టేట్, వారిని పికప్ చేసి ఈ గ్రామాలకు పంపించాము. సో అప్పటి నుంచి ప్రోగ్రెస్ చూస్తే లాస్ట్ ఇయర్ వీ క్రాస్డ్ 10 lakhs. దిస్ ఇయర్ వీఆర్ కెప్ట్ ఎ టార్గెట్ ఆఫ్ 12.5 lakhs. దిస్ ఇస్ ఫార్మర్స్ ఎన్రోల్మెంట్. దాంతోపాటు భూమి లేని వ్యవసాయ కూలీలు, దే ఆర్ ఈక్వల్లీ ఇంపార్టెంట్. So 3,52,000 people were covered. So today our program is the largest in the world in terms of number of farmers and the approach that we are following. So ఒక రైతు కంప్లీట్గా ట్రాన్స్ఫార్మ్ కావడానికి ఫర్ ఎ ఫార్మర్ టు చేంజ్ ఇట్ టేక్స్ 3 to 5 years. And that again will come, which will also form part of your group discussions as to what support we provide. We are not providing any cash incentives during transition. So మిగతా రాష్ట్రాల్లో half the unit cost is sent as DBT and they finish the work in 3 years. So ప్రతి స్టేట్ గవర్నమెంట్ కూడా 3 yearsలో పని అయిపోయింది, యూసీసీ ఇస్తున్నారు, కొత్త గ్రామాలకు వెళ్ళిపోతున్నారు. బట్ వీ నో వెరీ వెల్ ఇట్ టేక్స్ ఫార్మర్స్ టైమ్ టు చేంజ్. సో ఇక్కడ మనం అది ఇవ్వలేదు. దెన్ ఆల్సో వీ డోంట్ ఆఫర్ ఎనీ క్యాష్ ఇన్సెంటివ్స్ డ్యూరింగ్ ద ట్రాన్సిషన్. అంటే పంట ఈల్డ్ లాస్ ఉంటే మీకు కాంపెన్సేషన్ ఇస్తామని అలాంటి ఇన్సెంటివ్ ఏం లేదు ఇక్కడ. తర్వాత మీకు మార్కెట్ ప్రీమియం, ఆర్గానిక్ ప్రైస్ ప్రీమియం దొరుకుతుందని కూడా చెప్పడం లేదు. సో దిస్ ఆర్ ఆల్ హర్డిల్స్ దట్ వీ హ్యావ్ కెప్ట్ సో దట్ our performance should always be such that ఏ రైతు ఈ ప్రకృతి వ్యవసాయం చేసినా కూడా నష్టం రాకూడదని. బయట నుంచి ఇన్సెంటివ్స్ కాదు, మన టెక్నాలజీ ఇంప్రూవ్ చేసుకోవాలని. అండ్ బిఫోర్ వీ స్టార్టెడ్ దిస్ వీ హ్యాడ్ ఎ బ్రెయిన్ స్టార్మింగ్ సెషన్ 4 days. అప్పుడు రికమెండేషన్స్లో ఏమొచ్చింది, ప్రకృతి వ్యవసాయం చేస్తే దిగుబడి తగ్గుతుంది, దెన్ గవర్నమెంట్ తరఫున మనము ఈల్డ్ లాస్ కాంపెన్సేషన్ ఇవ్వాలనేది రికమెండేషన్ వచ్చింది. బట్ దెన్ ఐ డిసగ్రీడ్. ఐ సెడ్ నో, వారు కావాలంటే తక్కువ విస్తీర్ణంలో చేయనివ్వండి, బట్ ఈ విధంగా కాంపెన్సేషన్ ఇచ్చామంటే నోబడీ విల్ సే దే హ్యావ్ గాట్ గుడ్ ఈల్డ్స్. అండ్ దెన్ మా స్టాఫ్ కూడా దే విల్ టేక్ ఇట్ ఈజీ. సరే మనం ప్రయత్నం చేశాము, రాలేదు. బట్ నౌ ద ప్రెషర్ ఈజ్ ఆన్ RySS, on the staff of RySS to continuously improve so that there is no income loss during transition. That is what led us to go deep into the science. Let me tell you that. Our decision తీసుకోకపోయింటే మనం కూడా ఊరికే ఒక రొటీన్ గవర్నమెంట్ ప్రోగ్రామ్ కింద రన్ చేసేవాళ్ళం. నౌ దిస్ ఈజ్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఇది నేను స్పెషల్ CS గారితో చాలాసార్లు డిస్కస్ చేశాను. అండ్ ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యూ షుడ్ నో దిస్. ఇది మన ప్రకృతి వ్యవసాయ యూనివర్స్లో, అంటే మనం పనిచేస్తున్న గ్రామాలలో మొత్తం రైతుల సంఖ్య 12,46,000 మంది. అండ్ బ్రాడ్లీ వాట్ ఎవర్ ఐఎమ్ సేయింగ్ రిప్రజెంట్స్ ది ఎంటైర్ స్టేట్ ఆల్సో, దిస్ డివిజన్స్. సో 1/2 hectare కంటే తక్కువ, లెస్ దెన్ 1.25 acres, 47% farmers are there. And they operate 20% of the land. So you can say 50% of our farmers are having less than 1.25 acres. Then next category, 1.2 to 2.5, 1.26 to 2.5, 30% ఉన్నారు. And they operate 30% అనుకోవచ్చు, 29 ఉంది, 30% area. So 47 plus 30, 77% farmers cultivating up to 1 hectare are operating 50% of the area. So that is our hardcore target group. Then there is group D. So 18% ఉన్నారు వారు, that means less than 2 hectares, more than 1 hectare and less than 2 hectares. So వారు 18% మంది ఉన్నారు in terms of number of farmers, and they operate an area of 33%, and their per capita holding is 3.6 acres. 95% you can see, 95% farmers are less than 2 hectares. So 5% farmers operate 18% area. So 7.9 acres per capita వచ్చింది. Now if you can see how many farmers we have reached in these villages. So by and large it's the same across all categories. Okay, 83% farmers are covered under natural farming. Naturally, less than 1.25 acres ante 80% of their area is coming under natural farming, 56% of up to 1 hectare, and 40% of up to 2 hectares, and 23% of the last category. So ikkada specific ga targets ichamu that we should increase the coverage so that 100% all the up to category D cover their area. So this is just to tell you about the program and targeting. Now we'll go into the science. Next. So ఇది ఒకవైపు farmers distress, nobody can deny that, but consumers are also not eating healthy food, and there is a environmental crisis. So I'll explain each one. Next. Yeah, this is a very important slide. So this is from the Stockholm Resilience Center. సో ప్రపంచంలో క్లైమేట్ చేంజ్ మీద పనిచేసే సంస్థల్లో ఒక టాప్ 3, వన్ ఈజ్ స్టాక్హోమ్ రెసిలియన్స్ సెంటర్, ఇంకోటి పోట్స్డామ్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్ ఆఫ్ క్లైమేట్ చేంజ్ ఇన్ జర్మనీ, అండ్ ద థర్డ్ వన్ ఈజ్ ఇన్ యుఎస్ఏ వుడ్వెల్ రీసెర్చ్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూట్ అని. అండ్ వీఆర్ ఇన్ డిస్కషన్స్ విత్ 2 of them అండ్ ఆల్సో హోప్ఫుల్లీ స్టాక్హోమ్ ఆల్సో. సో ఇది చూడండి, దేర్ ఆర్ 9 planetary boundaries which should not be breached. But in 2022, this picture, this graphic is based on an article of 2022. They have said 6 out of 9 planetary boundaries have been breached. Vaatlo 5 of them are exclusively on account of agriculture. So that is why they have made that statement. The current agri-food system is the greatest cause for the degradation of our planetary health. And this is 120 years of science which is causing this degradation. So this is from the Stockholm Resilience Center, and if you can see the dots, black dots, is that particular planetary boundary is breached because of agriculture. So 5 out of 6 mostly on account of agriculture, 6th one on account of other factors also, climate change and our general ga. So it is both because of agriculture and emissions, etc. So 5 out of 9 planetary boundaries have been breached exclusively because of agriculture, and 6th one also agriculture plays a role. Now this is very important for you to know that we are losing soil at a very fast pace, and particularly in India we are losing 5 billion tons of soil every year. World lo UN estimates prakaramu 24 billion tons, but in India, because India accounts for only 2.2% of the world's land mass, so with 2.2% of the world's land mass, we are losing 21% of the annual loss of soil. So what does it mean? Land degradation and desertification. అందుకు అనంతపురంలో 0.3% ఉంది, ఆర్ 0.2% ఉంది సాయిల్ కార్బన్. కర్నూల్ ఆర్ ఇన్ ది ట్రైబల్ ఏరియాస్ where there is lot of erosion. So this is the most dangerous consequence of what we have done, the way we are practicing agriculture. And we are not measuring whether our cropping pattern is leading to increase in soil organic matter or not. And Gatamlo, the gains of Green Revolution were also on account of the good soil organic matter at that time, in the 1960s, 70s. So as the soil organic matter kept getting depleted, even the effectiveness of the chemical, most of them got leached. They are not being taken by the plant. So this is one, I call this as soil emergency. Second emergency is the water emergency, and with 16% of the world's population, we account for only 4% of the world's fresh water supply. And prapanchavyaptiga 70% water is used for irrigation, but in India 84% of water is used for irrigation. That means there is less water for human consumption, industries. So this is another emergency in terms of water stress. This you should know. Of course, we have data from up to 16, 17. So, because of the decrease in the fertilizer use efficiency, what used to be 13 kgs per hectare in 1970 went up to 130 kgs per hectare in 2016. Maybe it has crossed 200 kgs per hectare now because we are in 2024. So at this rate, whatever kgs of fertilizers you put, you may get only that much of grains. And this is very important, that what is happening to our health because of loss of soil organic matter and the way we are doing agriculture. So we are also consumers. Farmers are also consumers. But everybody else is a consumer. So this is a study done in UK. There are studies done in every country, but this is one of the most systematically done study, and this is something quoted very often across the world. And while they studied all the foods. And they said in every food they studied, every nutrient has seen a decline. 10% to 100%. 100% means ఆ న్యూట్రియంట్ లేదు ఇప్పుడు మనం తినే తిండిలో. సో మనం అంటుంటాం, మన పూర్వీకులు బాగా ఆరోగ్యంగా ఉండేవారంటే ఆహారంలో అంత పౌష్టిక విలువలు ఉండేవి అప్పుడు. సో దట్ ఈస్ వెరీ క్లియర్లీ ఎస్టాబ్లిష్డ్. సో ఇన్ టర్మ్స్ ఆఫ్ మైక్రోన్యూట్రియంట్స్, ట్రేస్ మినరల్స్, దే ఆర్ ఆల్ declining in the food that we are eating today. This shows that the nutrition that came from, let us say, 100 grams of meat will come now if you eat 200 grams of meat, or 3 times the fruits that was eaten in 1940 and 5 times the vegetables. And anta decline in the nutrition values. So this shows how they have averaged all the vegetables, 27 kinds of vegetables, and they found copper declined by 76%, calcium by 46%, iron, magnesium, potassium, very significant declines. Similarly, in the meat that we consume, so loss of nutrients from 54% to 10%, iron, copper, calcium. And because the nutrition is not there in the grasses and other cereals, so the milk that we consume, again, there is loss of nutrition. So the second casualty is our health. And even now scientists do not know the link of various elements to health. ఇప్పుడు మన కరోనా కంటే ముందు మీకు అందరికీ మెగ్నీషియం తినాలా అంత తెలిసిందా? లేదు కదా. Because of corona, everybody suddenly started realizing we should have magnesium, we should have zinc. So those are all providing immunity. Exact mechanism is not known, but these elements contribute to the immunity function in the human bodies. There is one element I have not listed here because required in very small quantities, selenium antar. And selenium, if it's not there, the body cannot produce cells to fight cancer. So we lose that ability to produce the enzyme which fights cancer. Then cobalt, chudandi, required in very small quantities, but that is responsible for vitamin B12. So these are required in very, very small quantities. But in their absence, we have many diseases. So the food we are eating has 3 problems. One, nutrition ledu. Rondodi, the chemical residues on that food are harmful. And third, because of the chemical agriculture and the way the roots are not able to distinguish, I'll explain later. So harmful metals are to be found in the food grains. అప్పుడు ఏలూరు ఇన్సిడెంట్లో చూసాం మనము, cadmium kada, cadmium, cobalt, etc. in heavy quantities in the rice samples that were taken. So how did they come? They came because of the method of agriculture. So this is one whole thing about the human health, how it is compromised on account of the food that we are eating. So the food we are eating, okay, health estimates 2016 low, more than 50% of the disease burden in the world is on account of the food we are eating. This is 2016 figure. So now it must have increased even more post-corona. Yeah. So this is very important. Special CS garu chepparu meeku role of food systems. Food system means from production to consumption, also wastage put in. So it is 34%. So in causing climate change, the food system is one of the most significant one. So ikkada dilemma undedi. Farmers are facing climate change, but the methods of farming are causing climate change. So we are in a vicious cycle. So what is that harmful methods? What have they led to? So you have deforestation, forest fires, burning crop residues, ploughing, keeping lands fallow, excess irrigation, wind and water erosion, overgrazing, and over the last 80 years in the world, maybe 60 years in India, use of synthetic biocides. So this is where we are. We need to eat. Therefore, farmers are producing food, but they are facing climate change consequences. At the same time, the way they are producing food is causing climate change. So it's a vicious cycle. So is there a solution? So yes, that's what I will explain to you, that natural farming is that solution. So what is natural farming? Because there are many definitions, including the comparison with allopathy and Ayurveda. So it is mimicking nature. See, nature is perfect. Nature has its own laws. It is our understanding of nature that is not perfect. So when our understanding of nature improves, we should change our practices. So whatever processes are there in nature, they have not changed. So our understanding, and also here I really blame a reductionist approach to agriculture. ఇది ఒక న్యూట్రియంట్ వల్ల ఇది జరుగుతుంది, or to separate out different factors. In fact, one of the earliest experiments we did with University of Reading, వాళ్ళు 4 వీల్స్ తీసుకున్నారు, బీజామృతము, ఘనజీవామృతము, ఆచ్ఛాదన. సో ఒక ప్లాట్లో బీజామృతం వేయకుండా చూస్తాము, ఒక ప్లాట్లో జీవామృతము వేయకుండా చూస్తాము, ఒక ప్లాట్లో ఆచ్ఛాదన లేకుండా చూస్తాము. అంటే ఇవన్నీ సెపరేట్ అనుకున్నారు వారు. అప్పుడు మా నాలెడ్జ్ కూడా అంతే ఉన్నది, సరే అన్నాం. బట్ డెఫినెట్లీ వన్ ప్లాట్లో అన్ని ప్రాక్టీసెస్ పాటిస్తామని చెప్పారు. అట్ దట్ టైమ్ ఆల్సో వి సెడ్, లుక్, దే ఆర్ ఆల్ ఇంటరాక్టింగ్, వీ కాంట్ సే విచ్ ఇస్ వాట్ అని. బట్ దే సెడ్ దట్ మేము పబ్లిష్ చేయాలంటే ఇట్లా సెపరేట్గా చూడాలన్నారు. సో దట్ రిడక్షనిస్ట్ అప్రోచ్ ఇన్ సైన్స్ ఈజ్ వెరీ వెరీ డేంజరస్, బోత్ ఫార్ అగ్రికల్చర్ and for human health. Because we are thinking that a problem of the stomach is just to treat it with what we give. But we don't know what is happening to the other tissues or other organs because of that medicine. So a holistic approach lekunda. So this is, so natural farming is mimicking nature. That means because of better understanding of nature, we have a better solution. So, but it's a holistic land management practice that leverages the power of photosynthesis in plants. So I just want to say that it is not the same as traditional agriculture. Please forget that. Keep that out of your mind. Mana purvikulu chese vyavasayam kaadu idi. This is a new kind of agriculture. You should respect that. There is a lot of science, and it is a new kind of agriculture. It may have elements of the past. సో గతంలో ఏదైతే మనం ఎరువు వాడేవారో పెద్దవారు వాడేవారు 10 టన్నులు 12 టన్నులు 15 టన్నులు ఎకరాకి కౌ డంగ్, farm yard manure, crop residue waste. That was meant to provide nutrients to the plants. Then green revolution ఏమో చెప్పింది, క్రాప్స్ వల్ల న్యూట్రియంట్స్ డిప్లీట్ అవుతున్నాయి, సో వీ నీడ్ టు సప్లై న్యూట్రియంట్స్ externally. So typical calculation will say 1 acre paddy, so how much of nitrogen is depleted from that? And since we need more production, we can't wait for natural regeneration, so we'll add urea or we'll add phosphorus, potassium. So external application of fertilizers. So previously it was felt ఇంత కాంపోస్ట్ వాడితే మనకు సరిపోతుంది అనుకునేవాళ్ళు. సో ద క్రిటిసిజం వాజ్ దర్ ఇస్ నో నైట్రోజన్ ఇన్ దట్ మెన్యూర్ కంపేర్ ఆర్ దిస్ ఈజ్ మోర్ ఎఫిషియంట్ వే ఆఫ్ గివింగ్ సింథటిక్ న్యూట్రియంట్స్ అని. బట్ న్యాచురల్ ఫార్మింగ్ ఈజ్ నాట్ సేయింగ్ దట్. వీ రిక్వైర్ వెరీ స్మాల్ క్వాంటిటీస్, ఓన్లీ 5% ఆఫ్ వాట్ ట్రెడిషనల్ అగ్రికల్చర్ యూస్డ్, అండ్ దే ఆర్ నాట్ మెంట్ టు సప్లై NPK. So they are a catalyst. They are not manures. They are not fertilizers. They are not biofertilizers. So that is why this is different from organic farming. And in India, the pioneers who understood this, who understood that the inputs are not the source of NPK. We have people like Dabolkar, Bhaskar Save, Namalwar, Sachde, but the most important one was Subhash Palekar. ఏ రకమైన ఇన్పుట్స్ అవసరం లేదు, సాయిల్ అంటే హీ టుక్ ఇట్ టు మీన్ దట్ జీవామృతం విల్ ప్రొవైడ్ దట్ అని. సో సాయిల్ బయాలజీ ఇంప్రూవ్ అయ్యి న్యూట్రియంట్స్ ఆర్ ఆటోమేటిక్లీ గివన్ టు ద ప్లాంట్స్ అని. దిస్ సంథింగ్ ఐ లెర్న్ ఫ్రమ్ హిమ్ వే బ్యాక్ ఇన్ 2007. అప్పుడు వారి చేత ట్రైనింగ్ ప్రోగ్రామ్స్ కూడా పెట్టాను 2008, 2009లో, బిఫోర్ వాట్ వీ డిడ్ ఇన్ అగ్రికల్చర్. సో దే వాజ్ నాట్ క్లారిటీ. దే వాజ్, వాళ్ళు చెప్పారు ఇట్లా 4 చక్రాలు ఉంటాయి అండ్ క్రాప్స్ విల్ కమ్. అఫ్ కోర్స్ ఫాలోయింగ్ దట్ ఐ థింక్ farmers got lot of benefits. That was enough for me. But then I went deep into the science to understand the why. Why is it under natural farming we are getting so much yield even though we have not added any inputs, so-called fertilizers add cheledani. Now these are the global scientists who are the experts in this area. I would strongly recommend all the JDAs and all the commissionerate staff, please listen to them. In fact, Rajshekhar adi cheptunnaru naku. I think I sent him one of the recent video lecture by Ray Archuleta, who is from the US Department of Agriculture, and he himself admits that I followed wrong science. I am understanding a lot of new things ani. So these are all the people who have influenced my work, and this is about 20 years old. So Elaningham Soil Food Web is just about 20 years old. And some research which we are already put into practice is from 2020. And there's some more research coming which is, emerging science. So James White, I'll link it up with what we are doing. Then Walter Yana, I think some of you met him. Some of the JDS have seen Walter Yana when he came last time, 2019. Anantapurku vacharu, Gunturki vacharu. So he is one of the biggest inspiration for us. So these are all people who are very eminent in the world and who are developing a new science. I am a member of the Ecosystem Restoration Alliance. So prapanchamlone best scientists who are involved in this kind of research for a very long time. So they formed a coalition and they are very impressed with what we are doing. So they have requested me to join that. So I get latest updates about what's happening in different countries through this alliance. So what is the research showing? And this should not be, this is very easy for all of you to understand. You know very well that photosynthesis is the basis for all life in the world. on planet Earth. And life in the oceans began 3.8 billion years ago with cyanobacteria, which was able to take carbon dioxide and split it and get carbon out, because carbon is a source of energy in all living things. Respiration is what? Carbon becoming carbon dioxide. So without that you can't live. But life on the land started only 440 million years ago. So whatever we had on land was only rocks, condensed stardust antar. So that was brought to life by the microbes, by this phenomenon. So only leaves can make food. So whatever is the food made by the leaves, photosynthetes, 40% is used by the shoot system. 30% is used for root development. But the balance 30% is exuded into the soil. So why is the plant exuding 30% of the food? It is because of the soil food web. This soil food web was first explained in detail by Elaine Ingham. I'm not sure, maybe around 2004, 2006. So whatever is the food which is exuded from the roots is the food for the microbes in the rhizosphere. There is the bacteria, the fungi. And the purpose of this is photosynthetes తీసుకొని, their number multiplies, and they provide a service to the plant. They bring all what you call unavailable elements. They digest them and bring it to the plants. So this soil food web is just 20 years old. I don't know, all of you must have done BSc, MSc Agriculture quite some time ago. Was this in your textbooks? లేదు కదా, ఇప్పుడు వాళ్ళకు కూడా లేదు. ఇన్ఫ్యాక్ట్ దట్ ఇస్ ది అదర్ ప్రాబ్లం, రైట్? సాయిల్ ఫుడ్ వెబ్ అండ్ హౌ ఇట్ ఇంటరాక్ట్స్.
సాయిల్ మైక్రోబయాలజీ ఉంది సార్, సాయిల్ మైక్రోబయాలజీ, బట్ సాయిల్ ఫుడ్ వెబ్ అనేటువంటి కాన్సెప్ట్
ఓకే. అఫ్ కోర్స్ రైజోస్ఫియర్ డిస్క్రైబ్ చేశారు, ఫిలోస్ఫియర్ డిస్క్రైబ్ చేశారు, బట్ వాట్ ఈస్ ద ఇంటరాక్షన్? యా, సో దెర్ ఇస్ లాట్ ఆఫ్ సైన్స్ హ్యాపెనింగ్ హియర్. And that's what Special CS said in the morning session. This is emerging science. ఇప్పుడు 30 ఏళ్ల కిందట ఎవరికి నాలెడ్జ్ వాజ్ నాట్ దేర్. సో లెట్ us say before 2000. But when this knowledge became available, we should have changed our science protocols. So this is undisputed. There's a lot of work happening. I don't know how much work is happening in India, but globally, this is the area of maximum research. Soil, microbes, microbiology. In fact, agriculture has become chemistry. So that is the big change that happened on account of the Green Revolution. That everything became reductionist and saying that, okay, one element is missing, so we'll add that element on it. So this is all nutrients that a plant requires are made available through this interaction between the microbes, the root exudates, microbes, and the nutrients in the soil. Unavailable forms antam kada. And all our soil health, Rajshekhar, is only testing available components. So the unavailable, the total is not calculated anywhere because it's almost infinite. Nothing happens. There's a lot of nutrients available. So basically, all nutrients required for a plant, for all the crops, for entire 10 billion people, whenever we reach 10 billion, is available, and it's available for next 1,000 years. You don't have to worry that you'll run out of nutrients. They can't go anywhere, either from the soil, air, or water. So that is the basic belief of natural farming or regenerative agriculture, that no external nutrient is required. What is lacking is the biology in the soils. So soil biology is the key. So this is very, very important even for area of research. We will definitely, be doing more research in this, but more research results are also happening. Fastest growing research globally is this, and for the right reasons. So if you have good soil biology, you have very good nutrient absorption mechanism through the biological intermediation. Now, conventional agriculture says that there are 18 essential nutrients. అంతేనండి మన టెక్స్ట్ బుక్స్లో రాసిండేది? బికాజ్ ఐ రిమెంబర్ యాజ్ వైస్ ఛాన్సలర్ ఐ ఆస్డ్. సో 3 NPK నుంచి 6 వచ్చాయి, మళ్ళీ 12 అయినాయి, 18 వరకు దే స్టాప్డ్. అచ్చా 12 ఉన్నది,
16 అనేటువంటిది ఎక్కువగా
16 ఉన్నదా?
2 యాడ్ అయినాయా? అంటే ఎన్పికే అనేటువంటిది ఒకటి,
కరెక్ట్.
కాల్షియం అండ్ మెగ్నీషియం అండ్ సల్ఫర్ అనేటువంటిది 3, ఓకే,
then
6. తర్వాత ఇప్పుడు మైక్రోన్యూట్రియంట్స్లో 6 వస్తాయి. అంటే ఐరన్, మాలిబ్డినము, తర్వాత కాపరు, మాంగనీసు, బోరాను, అండ్ వన్ మోర్ జింక్. జింక్,
సల్ఫర్ ఆల్రెడీ యూ మెన్షన్.
సల్ఫర్ ఇందాక దాంట్లో ఒకటి సల్ఫర్ అవుట్ వస్తుంది సార్. 4 అంటే 3 + 4 + 6 సార్. అంటే ఇప్పుడు అలా 16 అంటారు సార్.
CHO ఫర్లేదు, దట్స్ ఓకే. సో నౌ ఫర్ యువర్ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్, యూఆర్ నాట్ మెడికల్ డాక్టర్స్, కానీ హ్యూమన్ బాడీ హ్యాస్ 59 ఎలిమెంట్స్. So that has to come from the food we are eating. It can't come from anywhere. So that 18 is wrong. You may require them in trace quantities. Parts per billion. Put selenium. It's a nutrient. It comes from the plant. Almonds lo ekku untundi antaru. There are some walnuts. So they have more of selenium antaru. It's also regarded as brain food. So that means there are 59 elements. అవన్నీ యాక్టివేట్ చేయడానికి ద మోర్ డైవర్స్ సాయిల్ బయాలజీ దట్ యు హ్యావ్, దట్ మెనీ న్యూట్రియంట్స్ ఇట్ అట్రాక్ట్స్. సో దట్ ఈస్ ది బేసిక్ పాయింట్. సో దిస్ ఇస్ నాట్ గోయింగ్ టు కమ్, వీఆర్ నాట్ గోయింగ్ టు యాడ్ ఎనీథింగ్. ఆల్రెడీ దే ఆర్ దేర్. Molybdenum is there, manganese is there. But in the absence of good soil biology, they are not made available to the plants. So that's the basic point. So the second function of the soil microbes is to create soil structure. So they are also good soil engineers. That is their second role. And that's a very unique function. So this is nutrient cycling and water cycling is determined by the soil biology. And with natural farming, there is carbon getting into the soil carbon sequestration antaru. So 1 additional gram of carbon going into the soil means additionally 8 grams of water are held. They say anywhere from 6 grams to 20 grams, but median 8 grams annaru. So mana prakriti vyavasayamlo avi dry spell ni tattukuntayante, this is the reason. So the moisture is intact. So as you can see, soil carbon tagge koddi soils emavutayandi, gatti padtayi. So they are non-porous and non-permeable. So through soil biology, as you can see in the center, through the organic glues, the root exudates, the fungal, bacterial, necromass antar. That means once they die, whatever the mass is there, so they form the soil structures. So bacteria form the micro aggregates and the fungi form the bigger aggregates. And then the bigger fauna, centipedes, earthworms, they again create bigger pore space. So this soil structure cannot be created by any other means. It's only through good soil biology. So దీనివల్ల ఏమవుతుంది, you can see very clearly and you know very well, good quality soil means 50% should be air. So 100 cc soil లో 50 cc should be air. pore spaces అంటారు. So that enables better water infiltration, and more soil carbon means better water holding. And third, I will explain later, most of you know that this is our unique discovery in Andhra Pradesh, water vapor being harvested for irrigation. But this is all effect of good soil biology. So anduku, based on this science, based on the science of natural farming, we designed these principles. మీకు అందరికీ మతుకుంటుంది, those you are there in the early days, I think Vijay was there for some trainings in Guntur. సో పాలేకర్ గారి ట్రైనింగ్స్లో ఎక్కువ 4 చక్రాలు చెప్పేవారు ఆయన, 4 wheels అని. స్టార్టెడ్ విత్ బీజామృతం, రెండోది జీవామృతం, థర్డ్ ఆచ్ఛాదన, fourth was vapsa. And I don't think anybody understood what is vapsa, because it's only an effect, it's not an input. మిగతా 3 ఇన్పుట్సే. సో vapsa is nothing but soil aeration, but it's an effect, not an input. సో 3 చెప్పేవారు. But based on the science that we have understood now, who knows, if we have better science, we may still change this. Based on the science, the key is photosynthesis. How do you maximize photosynthesis per unit land? Without that, nothing else will work. Enta avapeda vesna, enta jeevamrutam vesna kuda you won't get result. The driving force behind natural farming is photosynthesis. So the first principle is soil should be covered with living root 365 days of the year. ఆ తర్వాత క్రాప్ డైవర్సిటీ ఈజ్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్. ఎంత క్రాప్ డైవర్సిటీ ఉంటే అంత మంచిది అనేది. ఈ క్రాప్ డైవర్సిటీ అండ్ ఇట్స్ ఎఫెక్ట్ ఆన్ సాయిల్ ఫర్టిలిటీ ఈజ్ బేస్డ్ ఆన్ ఏ ఎక్స్పెరిమెంట్. ఐ థింక్ ఇట్స్ స్టిల్ గోయింగ్ ఆన్ ఇన్ యూనివర్సిటీ ఆఫ్ యనా ఇన్ జర్మనీ. You can Google that, you'll find this study. It's perhaps the longest study and the most comprehensive study on crop diversity and its impacts on soil. So arrange చేశారు, ఒక plot of land, they put only one kind of seed, monocropping. Next plot, 2 seeds, 2 different seeds, different families, 4, 8, 16. ఈ విధంగా ఈ ప్లాట్స్ని సిస్టమేటిక్గా స్టడీ చేస్తున్నారు. వాట్ హ్యాపన్స్ టు ద సాయిల్, ప్రొడక్టివిటీ ఆఫ్ ద ప్లాంట్స్. సో దే సెడ్, దిస్ ఇస్ సంథింగ్ దే సెడ్ అట్ ది ఎండ్ ఆఫ్ 17 years. Their research showed that any plot of land, the soil fertility, soil biology enhancement and soil fertility increase happens with at least 4 different plants from 4 different functional groups. After that, there are similar studies in Canada, also in New Zealand and Ireland. So అందుకు రాజశేఖర్, we started with 4 అంటే 4 పెడతారని 9th start చేశాను. Then of course our Mirabi did that wonderful experiment. Why 9, why 12, why 15, why not 30? So this crop diversity anta important. And then of course Nayak has done one more innovation which I'll explain on the crop diversity. So these 2 together is the most important part of natural farming. And that's why Special CS mentioned 30 lakh hectares is barren. So it is creating huge negative consequences from the environment point of view, apart from the fact that land is wasted. So this 2 principles-ni inka further strengthening cheyadaniki, you have to keep the soil covered with crop residues whenever living crops are not there. The best cover is only living root. Crop residue, చాలా మంది ఏమనుకుంటారంటే that adds to the fertility of the soil అని. But that's not true. What adds to the fertility of the soil is living root, a living plant. Because right from morning till evening, it is pushing food into the soil. So, but that crop residue also has a function. It reduces evaporation losses, reduces soil temperature, and to some extent it also provides nutrients. May not be much. ఇప్పుడు గ్రీన్ మెటీరియల్లో బిగ్గెస్ట్ మిస్టేక్ they just incorporate into the soil. Then you are exposing the soil, and anyway this also gets oxidized. So anduku we ask them to graze. So that's also additional income and good for the soil. So this is very important to know that what is the role of crop residue. We should be very clear that the main fertility is coming from living root. And fourth, again Special CS mentioned this, minimizing tillage. ఎందుకంటే ఎప్పుడైతే మనం టిలేజ్ చేస్తున్నామో దట్ స్ట్రక్చర్ వీఆర్ బ్రేకింగ్. And the structure is very important not only from water point of view. There is one more very great importance of this. This soil structure creates a partial anaerobic condition. So that partial anaerobic condition is required. That means oxygen becomes, instead of 21, it becomes 16 or 18. That is essential for bacteria to break nitrogen bonds. So this please keep in mind, mana package of practices రైతులకి ఇచ్చేది, whether it's natural farming or conventional agriculture also, we should minimize tillage. But there's one area where I have to disagree with Ramesh Chand Rajshekhar, that zero tillage is leading to a very bad practice in these countries. Weeds kill cheyadaniki they are putting herbicides. That he didn't mention. So that's why those conservation fellows came to us also. We said we don't have monocrop. Very eminent scientists from India also pushing conservation agriculture. But this is, what they are doing is pushing herbicides. I think Radi garu మీరు వెళ్ళారు కదా ఒక కాన్ఫరెన్స్కి, కన్జర్వేషన్ అగ్రికల్చర్, ఐ రిమెంబర్ సర్ప్లో ఉన్నప్పుడు. And we said no, we can't follow this ani. So minimizing tillage is very important. Farmers' own seeds are to be used. And this is very important for the JDS to understand why farmers' own seeds are to be used. I'll explain that. See, this is the work of Professor James White, Rutgers University. So James White's work, and this came out only in 2020. It's not some ancient work. So where he spoke about rhizophagy. Any of the JDS who have heard of rhizophagy? So it's, please look up. This is James White, Rutgers University. So rhizophagy means roots eating ani. So what he discovered, the bacteria and the fungi, మనం అనుకున్నట్లు రూట్ సర్ఫేస్ మీద కాదు, they also get into the roots. And the root, very clever, because plant is very clever because it came much before us. Plants came 110 million years ago. We are only some 200,000 years old species. So they take the microbes into the roots and they squeeze, they oxidize them. They take the nutrients of the microbes and then they spit them out. And then again they reform, they get into it through the meristematic cells. So what Professor James White estimates, that almost 40% of the nitrogen the plants are able to take through rhizophagy. Exact estimates are not known, either through the roots or they can take nitrogen through the leaves. And that's what Special CS was referring to in the morning also. So this is a very, very important science which shows that till now the conventional belief was available nutrients unnai, roots will take that available nutrients. And since available nutrients మన సాయిల్ టెస్ట్లో చెప్తున్నాం కదా, నైట్రోజన్ లేదు, ఫాస్ఫరస్ లేదు, పొటాషియం లేదు, యాడ్ చేయండి అని. ఇట్స్ ఓన్లీ యు ఆర్ మెజరింగ్ ఓన్లీ ద అవైలబుల్ nutrients. Whereas the microbiology ద్వారా non-available nutrients are becoming bioavailable to the roots. That is what Elaine Ingham taught us. But this one, which is very new, the rhizophagy, they are saying in addition. So there are three nutrients. The third nutrient absorption mechanism is when the roots are actually taking the microbes into themselves, taking the nutrients and then forming their cells, etc. But James White makes further observation. So endophytes, That means other living beings inside the roots. So they are called endophytes. They are not doing any harm to the plant. They are doing good. So the plant takes those microbes into itself which it thinks are useful for them. So if you have, let us say, paddy crop in Eluru, so those, because it's mostly flooded, so they will take those microbes which will help it in waterlogging. Or if you go to Anantapur, where it is a drought-prone area, semi-arid area, so the plant will select those microbes which will help it in withstanding dry spells. So these microbes em jarugutundante, they travel through the shoot system. Then they go into the leaves, the flowers, fruits and grain. So every seed has millions and billions of microbes. So this is called core microbiome. అంటే విత్తనం స్వభావము మొక్క మారుస్తూ ఉందని. And this is very important for you to understand. So the plants themselves are producing seeds which help them to survive in that particular ecosystem. So this is the new science. And that's why our knowledge, because it's improved, so we are trying to incorporate this. So this is the basis. Next slide. Next. Yeah. So the fifth principle ఎందుకు అంటున్నామంటే farmers own seeds to be used is, traditionally also farmers knew how to save those plants which will for seed purpose ani. So the same science, but additionally we are saying ee vittanalu, they are better for that particular set of conditions ani. So this is an additional, so that means in addition to the embryo, in addition to the food for the embryo, the plant has also put microbes in the seed. And that again takes me to indigenous seeds. Now indigenous seeds are also like black rice gani, Navara rice, variety of indigenous grains, vegetables. They are superior from a health point of view for a different reason. So scientists have discovered that there are ancient microbes in them. And that's why they are good from health point of view. So indigenous seeds anni naashanam ayipoyinayi. We have to actually bring them back. And I would be very happy department also gets into conservation of these indigenous seeds, encourages different NGOs and innovators for this. It's going to be very important. And then we can tailor make. In fact, CM mentioned that in the collectors conference, what is it having higher black rice kuda cheppadu anukuntanu. What are having more low GI? Yes, exactly. But more micronutrients are in that. And better bacteria. So this is the fifth principle, Andy. This is based on latest science. So the microbes and seeds relationship doesn't happen overnight. So we are introducing a new seed. Mana kotta varieties university nunchi vastayi, but they have not formed relationship with the microbes. It will take a long time. Maybe in their synthetic conditions they are performing better, but I'll show you one picture which shows how resilience natural farming gives. Then integrating animals into farming, which is also very important for the family's own financial resilience, but also for this agriculture. So special CS garu podduna chepparu meeku, agriculture department may vanish ani, may be replaced by horticulture department or by department of animal husbandry. So I'm thinking, if we make our farmers also embrace horticulture, animal husbandry and fishery, then we still remain a department. So it's how do we make ourselves more relevant? So integrating animals into farming is very, very critical. So one of the things that mana KAPలో animal wealth కూడా మనం అసెస్ చేస్తున్నాం కదా. So I would like to list out those households who are not having any livestock. అప్పుడు SHGs ద్వారా వారి ఫ్యామిలీలో లైఫ్ స్టాక్ తెచ్చేటట్లు. Because it's not only good for, from a money point of view, good for the agriculture. Then సో బయోస్టిమ్యులెంట్స్ మన బీజామృతము, ఘన, ద్రవ అవన్నీ కూడా మనకు 0.7లో వస్తున్నాయి. సో దిస్ ఇస్ ద డిఫరెన్స్ బిట్వీన్ Palekar's methods and what we are advocating. So these 9 principles of natural farming have actually gone to the whole world. We are getting reports from other countries. We are following your framework. These are the results that we are getting. So you can notice that first is photosynthesis. ఈ biostimulants అనేది 7th point కింద పెట్టాం. Similarly, botanical pesticides I have put under 0.8. Pest management through crop diversity. Actually, crop biodiversity is the best way of protecting your plants. Rather than depending on pesticides, even whether it is chemical or even botanical pesticides. 9th needs no explanation. Next. So crop biodiversity maintain cheyala. Next. Yeah. So this is the microbial coating of the seed. Bijamrutam is nothing but microbial coating of the seeds. I don't know if you are aware, there's a company in USA called Indigo. You can go to the Google site. They sell microbial seed coating. They have their own methods, Sarkodi, but they're actually selling it. So we are doing it for free. And so what does Bijamruta do? This Bijamruta is actually establishing a communication. Microbes on the seed, ఎందుకంటే sowing కంటే ముందు కదా వేసేది మనము. So just before sowing of the seed. So the microbes on the seed are talking to the microbes inside the seed and then are talking to the microbes in the soil. So everything is about establishing a communication system underground and giving security to the plant that we are entering a safe microbial world. And it's not to provide NPK. In fact, one of the meetings I was asked me, బీజామృతంలో NPK ఎంత ఉంటుందని కదా. ICR రీసెర్చ్ ఏం జరుగుతుందంటే బీజామృతంలో NPK ఎంత ఉందని చూస్తున్నారు వాళ్ళు. Even though I have told them very clearly that బీజామృతం is not meant to supply NPK. ఇది ఘనజీవామృతం మీకు అందరికీ తెలుసును. And the point I want to make here is that we require only 400 kilograms per acre versus 8, 10, 12 tons per acre which was used in traditional agriculture. And ఘనజీవామృతం is not meant to supply NPK. ఇప్పుడు కూడా ప్రకృతి వ్యవసాయం రైతులు ఇంకా గతం వాడుతున్నారు, ఈవెన్ దో ఇట్స్ నాట్ రిక్వైర్డ్. బట్ ఒక అలవాటు అయిపోయింది వాడాలా అని. సో దట్ ఇస్ ద ట్రెడిషన్. సో దిస్ జీవామృతం, ఘనజీవామృతం ఇస్ మెంట్ ఫర్ దట్ పర్పస్. అండ్ దిస్ వెరీ విత్తనం వేసేటప్పుడు వేయమన్నాం. వాల్టర్ యనా టోల్డ్ అస్ వెరీ క్లియర్లీ. దానికంటే ముందు పాలేకర్ గారు చెప్పినప్పుడు కానీ ఆర్ ఇతరులు ఈ వెదజల్లేవారు ఘనజీవామృతాన్ని. బట్ యనా గారు ఏం చెప్పారంటే విత్తనంతో పాటు ఉండాలన్నారు. సో ఇట్స్ లైక్ ఫర్టిలైజర్ కమ్ సీడ్ డ్రిల్. విత్తనము ఘనజీవామృతం షుడ్ గో టుగెదర్. దిస్ ద్రవ జీవామృత, దట్ మీన్స్ ఆఫ్టర్ ద క్రాప్ హెస్ జర్మినేటెడ్ we are giving biological stimulation. And similarly the tonics. So this is a use of a botanical pesticide for preventing or doing pest management, mechanical devices and botanicals. So the point is that there is biological activation. అందుకు వీటిని biostimulants అంటారు. They are catalysts. They are not producing, they are not meant to give NPK. And over a period of time ఈ బయాలజికల్ ఇన్పుట్ రిక్వైర్మెంట్ కూడా తగ్గుతుంది. అన్లైక్ ఫర్టిలైజర్స్ విచ్ వెంట్ అప్ ఫ్రమ్ 13 kgs to 130 kgs 10 times, సాయిల్ ఫర్టిలిటీ పెరిగే కొద్దీ ఈ బయాలజికల్ స్టిమ్యులెంట్స్ క్వాంటిటీస్ తగ్గుతాయి. దేర్ ఇస్ ఎ ఫార్మర్ ఇన్ గుంటూరు, శ్రీనివాస్ రెడ్డి కదమ్మా, బనానా ఫార్మర్. హీ హస్ గాట్ సచ్ బ్యూటిఫుల్ క్రాప్ డైవర్సిటీ that he stopped using ఘనజీవామృతం also. He doesn't use anything. It's only his crop diversity and keeping the ground covered with living root at all times. Of course, he has also done a very good video on him. So that is the beauty of this biological stimulation. సాయిల్లో మనము గత 60-70 సంవత్సరాల నుంచి రసాయనాలు వేసి ప్లవింగ్ వల్ల we have actually depleted the soil microbial diversity and richness. So these stimulants are required, but they are only stimulants. The main food comes from the plant. So this is the basic difference between what I am telling you under natural farming and what was told, that this is the main జీవామృతము బీజామృతము అది ఎక్కువ అని అంటే they were the main wheels actually. So that's why, and the 9 principles are universal principles. I have studied the regeneration agriculture principles used in USA, used in Australia. So they all have this, whatever I have mentioned. So these are universal in that sense. They highlight the role of photosynthesis. They also highlight the fact that there should be minimal disturbance to the plants. And we are lucky. ఎక్కడ మనం స్కోర్ చేస్తామంటే దిస్ బీజామృతము ఘన ద్రవ కషాయాలు ఇతర దేశాల్లో దీని నాలెడ్జ్ లేదు, and they are not in a position to make it themselves. That is our unique strength actually. So this I'll not, but this is about the yields. You can go through it in details. Natural farming valla yields taggutayane apoha. So we are doing some largest sample study in the world actually, IDS dwara, and also we had Gist Impact which did the study. So as you can see, yields of major crops, they have not changed much. In fact, they are positive. So there is no yield penalty. Cost decline chala undi. Net incomes have gone up. Similarly for Rabi, then we have increased biodiversity. This is one more experiment we have done with our CRPs. నీటి వినియోగంలో ఎంత మార్పు వచ్చిందనేది. So natural farming farmers are requiring less irrigation, up to 50%. This is a very important finding. So they realize అంటే 3 రోజులకు ఒకసారి ఇచ్చేవారు ఇప్పుడు వారానికి ఒకసారి ఇస్తున్నారు. So this is a water saving study. We are also doing some independent studies now. So this is మొన్న మిడ్జామ్ cyclone ప్రభావము. So same variety. If variety makes a difference, why should one field be intact and the other field fall down? In fact, if you remember Rajshekhar, yesterday Ramesh Chand was saying, I think మీరు అడిగారు అనుకుంటా క్లైమేట్ చేంజ్కి ఏమిటని. సో భవిష్యత్తులో సైంటిస్ట్ సాల్వ్ చేస్తారన్నాడు ఆయన నిన్న, కొత్త వెరైటీస్ని తీసుకుంటున్నామనేది. దే ఆర్ కాల్డ్ drought resistant variety. They have some specific variety. But we can actually clearly see nature versus nurture antaru. So the genetic quality of the seed is the same in both the plots, but the nurturing, so what is called epigenetics, the gene expression changes in natural farming because of the impact of the microbes.
I'm here in Andhra Pradesh with rice from the paddy fields from Cyclone Chong's damage. And on the right here we've got the chemical farming, and on the left we have the natural farming. What actually happened with Cyclone Chong is this paddy fields, they went down and laid like that on the ground. And this one, natural farming, just stood up right beside it. And what we've done, put these straws through the microscopes that I brought over from Australia. The visuals will actually tell the story without me going much further on it. On the left side here, the cell structure of the natural farming, because that there, and on the right here we've got the chemical farming, is our proof of the strength of those straws, and why this one here on my right has gone like that and lodged, and this one on the left stood up like that and didn't move in Cyclone Chong. So it's just showing that this plant in the natural farming has got a lot more turgor pressure than the chemical farming side. So that gives that plant a lot bigger. In the straw is a lot thicker, and in the chemical farming the straw is about as thick as my fingernail. The people that lost their crops in Cyclone Chong, I feel desperately sorry for them, but natural farming side by side is absolutely no question. And if people question it, the photographs of the visual of where the crops are lodged and the natural farming standing up, and these photographs of the straw, then I'm not too sure what people are seeing. It's just proving that the strength of the natural farming was far superior to the chemical farming. Because when I heard about the cyclone, I asked if they could get some straw for me, because it said there was going to be a great story. I didn't expect it to be such a great story.
They came to India to make a film on natural farming. So he's a very famous soil microbiologist in the work of Christine Jones and others. వారి ప్రెజెంటేషన్లో ఈయన ఫోటోగ్రాఫ్స్ ఉంటాయి, ఫిల్డీ అని. సో అబౌట్ ద రూట్ ఎక్సుడేట్స్. సో హీఈస్ ఎక్స్ట్రాడినరీ సైంటిస్ట్. సో ఇండియాకి వచ్చారు ఫిల్మ్ తీయడానికి, and he heard about the cyclone. So he asked me to collect the straw samples. So I didn't understand why he's asking for straw samples. మనం ఏమనుకుంటా మామూలుగా root has gone deeper, it's bound tightly with soil, and the soil is also more porous here ani. But I never realized that the cell structure in natural farming is different. So this is exactly what I was saying. This is what is epigenetics. Otherwise, if the same variety, so the stem structure should be the same. So this is the beauty of natural farming. So better resilience to pest attack. So this is again very important. Mana, as per our calculations, rural area lo oka 80 lakh households are there, out of which we estimate about 60 lakhs are having some farming livelihoods, either as farmers or as tenants. But 20 lakhs are landless farm workers. So ever since we did this survey 2018-19, so we have been looking at what kind of strategies are required for the landless poor. And that's what Special CS also mentioned. సో ఈ హోమ్ స్టేడ్ గార్డెన్స్ త్రూ న్యాచురల్ ఫార్మింగ్ అది ఇవాల్వ్ అవుతూ వచ్చింది. సో వీ హ్యావ్ ఎ మచ్ బెటర్ మోడల్ నౌ, బట్ బేసికలీ వాట్ ఎవర్ దే కెన్ గ్రో ఇన్ దేర్ హోమ్ స్టేడ్, వాట్ ఎవర్ బి ద ల్యాండ్, సో అది 365 days కిచెన్ గార్డెన్ కింద తీసుకొని వస్తున్నాము. సో దిస్ ఈస్ ది ఐడియా దట్ ఎవ్రీ ఫార్మ్ వర్కర్ ఇన్ అవర్ స్టేట్ షుడ్ హ్యావ్ ఎ హెల్దీ న్యూట్రిషియస్ లైఫ్. So these are the research that is being done with international organizations. So there are all the leading organizations in the world. University of Reading, as you know, is third best. University of Wageningen is supposed to be the best in the world. So Reading is third. Then we are having a tie-up with FAO and CIRAD. This Woodhull Institute is a very famous institute for climate research in USA. and then University of Edinburgh. But Potsdam Institute of Climate Change, we are shortly entering into a partnership with them. So this is again world's leading climate research institute. Potsdam Institute, Woodhull they changed the name to Woodwell Institute, and Stockholm Resilience Center. First slide chupicharu. So out of three, two of them are in touch with us. CGIR. So some 70 scientists from 7 or 8 countries, they came and spent 4 days with us in Rayalaseema. They had their retreat for 3-4 days after that. So we want to expose every scientific organization in the world to come and study what we are doing. And then they should tell us if there is something more that needs to be done. So now, thanks to the Indo-German Academy, we have also engaged the ICR institutions, rice, maize, cotton, pulses, abiotic stresses, and also our agriculture university, horticulture university. But this engagement is with a difference. We are saying we are not interested in what you do in your research stations. We want you to go to the farmers' fields. So those who are following natural farming, those who are following conventional agriculture, you study the differences. So it's a 3-year study for each of these institutes so that we cover adequate crop cycles and there is no bias. And then water energy use reduction which chestunamu. And as I always say, that our farmers are the best scientists. So in terms of research, we are open to research from anywhere because we don't know everything. And also new knowledge is emerging. So if some institution can come and help us, we are ready to take help. And if somebody says there is something that you are doing wrong, we are ready to correct ourselves. So it's not, and Rajshekhar Tilsu, 2016, 17, 18 law, we didn't have this knowledge. We were just following what Palekar told us. So there is a constant change, and but science is very important, but science in a holistic manner and with farmer centrality. So that's why the funding being given to the research institutions is to follow farmers' work on ground. Otherwise, they'll do some research and say best yield is possible only through this kind of nutrients. Yeah, this is again very, very important, but I'll not spend too much time on this because the water cycle is extremely critical, especially for India. And I had a very detailed discussion with Special CS Water Resources. In fact, Rajshekhar, he'll be asking us to have combined studies. He has a very different theory. He's saying, sir, please focus on delta. వాళ్ళు చాలా వాటర్ వేస్ట్ చేస్తున్నారు. అక్కడ సేవ్ చేస్తే you will get water to Rayalaseema. So it's a very different paradigm. So water is so important. But please see what is happening to water. Only 2 drops are stored in all the dams of the world. This is not India picture, this is whole world picture. And 12 drops are in the streams, rivers and streams. 86 drops low, 36 drops go into the soil. They contribute to soil moisture. They may exit as aquifers. And then they are taken by the roots and they go back to the atmosphere through transpiration. 50 drops are runoff and they evaporate from the bare surfaces. And this is what the heat is also coming from, re-radiated heat from this water vapor. So natural farming valla we minimize runoff. So this 50 drops, our idea is to shift it to green water. Then better water percolation, greater water holding happens, and because it is covered, there are less evaporation losses. But the new phenomenon that is discovered by us, it's now 7 years old. 2018 lo research chesamu. Nayak is sitting here. He is the big scientist who did this research. So this is the basis for this research. మన దేశాలు అంటే ట్రాపికల్ కంట్రీస్, ఆల్ ట్రాపికల్ కంట్రీస్, వాటర్ ఇన్ ద ఎయిర్ which doesn't form clouds. So water in the air is up to 50,000 parts per million, which is equal to 10 rivers of water. And the experiment we did was, can natural farming harness this water from the air? ఎందుకంటే రైతులు చెప్తున్నారు మన ఆల్ ద డిస్ట్రిక్ట్స్, బట్ స్పెషలీ ఫ్రమ్ రాయలసీమ, అనంతపూర్, కర్నూలు, వెన్ ఐ వెంట్, ప్రొలాంగ్ డ్రై స్పెల్స్ కూడా తట్టుకుంటున్నాయి, తక్కువ నీళ్ళు అవసరము. సో వాట్ ఇస్ ద సైన్స్ బిహైండ్ ఇట్? వై ఇస్ ఇట్ పక్క ఫీల్డ్ ఎండిపోయింది, ఈ ఫీల్డ్ ఎండిపోలేదు? సో దట్స్ వాట్ లెడ్ us టు దిస్. అండ్ దిస్ నాలెడ్జ్ కేమ్ టు మీ ఫ్రమ్ వాల్టర్ యనా. He visited us in November 2019, and thanks to Anne-Sophie from FAO. So our visit chesi, he spent 12 days with us. 4 days brainstorming in our office to understand or give an explanation of what is happening. So in brainstorming lo he told us there are multiple sources of water, both before the seed germinates and after the seed germinates. So mana Ganajivamrutamu itself is releasing very tiny quantities of water. Then mycorrhizae fungi take up, get this water. Any good quality soil, he says, in 1 cubic meter of soil, the fungal hyphae can extend up to 25,000 kilometers. So you have a beautiful drip irrigation system without you paying for anything, just to keep the soil healthy. So fungal hyphae bring both nutrients and water. But varu emanarante, after the germination, bulk of this water is coming because the leaves are, under natural farming, the leaves are hygroscopic. Leaves under chemical agriculture are hydrophobic, they repel water. In natural farming, the leaves are hygroscopic. It's a very, very important finding. Or he compared to what happens in the deserts. Even though it doesn't rain, you have the xerophytes. And they are also thorny. That is to prevent water from being evaporated. So we still haven't found a competent university to advise us on this. But a couple of months ago, we got some very powerful microscope from ICRISAT. And this is something very interesting research work happening, that we found that these leaves have higher trichomes. You all have heard of trichomes? So trichome density, hair on the leaves. So this trichome density is 3 times, 5 times, 10 times higher in natural farming leaves. So there's some other research study which shows how this makes the leaves hygroscopic. We still have to figure out which is the best way of doing this research. Go to the previous slide. సో వారు నీతి ఆయోగ్లో ఒక ప్రెజెంటేషన్ ఇచ్చారు 2019లో, అండ్ ఇన్ దాట్ ఇట్ సెల్ఫ్ హీ సెడ్ PMDS, ప్రీ మాన్సూన్ డ్రై సోయింగ్ త్రూ న్యాచురల్ ఫార్మింగ్ ఇన్ ఆంధ్రప్రదేశ్ ఇస్ ఏ గ్లోబల్ బ్రేక్ త్రూ. ఇట్ ఈస్ ఇండియాస్ యునీక్ కాంట్రిబ్యూషన్ టు ద వరల్డ్ అని అప్పుడే చెప్పారు వారు. అండ్ హీ సెడ్ దట్ ఫీల్డ్ దట్ హీ హ్యాడ్ విజిటెడ్ would have consumed about 15,000 tons of water, because generally 1 liter of water produces 1 gram of biomass. But rainfall valla 4,000 tons se account ayindi. So where did this surplus? There is no doubt that water has been consumed because the crop is there. So appudu varu ee hypothesis lo edaithe manam biostimulants vadutunnamo, that itself is responsible for some water before germination, mycorrhizal fungi, water infiltration. But he says the major source after shoot development is of the water vapor harvesting by the leaves. So this is such a game changing innovation in Andhra Pradesh. నేను ఏదైతే ప్రాస్పెరిటీ టు ఫార్మర్స్ అంటున్నానో, ఇవన్నీ వుడ్ నాట్ హ్యావ్ బిన్ పాసిబుల్ వితౌట్ దిస్ బ్రేక్ త్రూ. సో వన్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఐ వాంట్ టు షో, రాజశేఖర్, 50 days ఆఫ్ అనంతపూర్ డ్రై స్పెల్ అంటున్నారు కదా. సో వీ వాంట్ టు షో నాగేంద్ర మాస్ ఫీల్డ్. సో this was shot on 7th August. వారి date of sowing was 10th April and the first rain came on 4th May. Yeah, and you can see the crops there. This is additional half acre of land where the sowing happened in June. So therein lies the secret of what we need to do for the 30 lakh hectares. So we have to understand how we treat them. For that also there are different models. But varu Lisbon వెళ్ళినప్పుడు I think what happened, Nayak? Her crop was damaged by the deer. So that's the price for Lisbon.
మనకు ఎక్కడ చుట్టూ పొలాలు ఎక్కడ సోయింగ్ జరగలేదు సార్. మా అనంతపురంలో చాలా ఏరియా సత్సాయి అనంతపురం.
Naturally the deer also found this as the
అందుకని అవి మేతకు నీళ్లకు మన పొలాలు వచ్చి పూరా మేసేసాయి సార్ ఈ అమ్మాయిది.
Then what did she do?
ఈమె మళ్ళీ ఒక పక్క రైతును అడిగి ఒక ఇరిగేషన్ ఇచ్చింది సార్.
ఓకే, దట్ ఈస్ హ్యాపెండ్ when she came back from
మళ్ళీ రిజ్యూనేట్ అయింది సార్ అది.
ఓకే
సార్,
ఆమె చూడండి ఏప్రిల్లో చేసినప్పుడు డ్రై కండిషన్స్ అండ్ హాట్, అండ్ దిస్ ఇయర్ వాజ్ స్పెషలీ హాట్. సో ఈ సీడ్ పెల్లెటింగ్, ఆల్ ఆఫ్ యూ ఆర్ అవేర్, ఐ థింక్ ఆల్ ద DAOs, all the JDS know this. So the seed pelleting is also a very unique innovation of APCNF. There is nowhere in the world that this thing happens. We are teaching rest of the world. So our 4-layer coating is jarutundo, so that ఒక 3 months వర్షం పడకపోని 6 నెలలు, ఆఫ్ కోర్స్ నాయక్ సేస్ 6 months, నేను కొంచెం భయంతో 3 నెలలు అని చెప్తాను. ఇఫ్ ఇట్ డజంట్, యు సా ఇన్ హర్ కేస్ ఏప్రిల్లో సో చేశారు, మేలో వర్షం వచ్చింది. దట్ వాజ్ ఇనఫ్ ఫర్ ది జర్మినేషన్ టు హ్యాపెన్. సో దిస్ అగైన్ ఎ వెరీ యూనిక్ ఇంటర్వెన్షన్. నెక్స్ట్, దిస్ ఇస్ ఇన్ అనంతపూర్ డెజర్ట్ లైక్ కండిషన్, హౌ ఇట్ క్యాన్ బి బ్రాట్ టు లైఫ్ అనేది వీ డెమాన్స్ట్రేటెడ్. నెక్స్ట్, సో ది ప్రీ మాన్సూన్ డ్రై సోయింగ్ ఈజ్ వెరీ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్. CEO గారు చెప్పినట్లు we started with 11 people in Anantapur in 2018, then it spread to the whole state, and now we are saying PMDS చేయకపోతే APCNF farmer కింద గుర్తించమని. So many districts are I think have completed their targets, some have fallen short, but APCNF రైతు అంటే PMDS చేస్తేనే మీరు APCNF రైతుగా గుర్తింపబడతారని చెప్తున్నాం. So now this is again very important. Yesterday we told the Honorable Chief Minister that agriculture has to be profitable. So దాంట్లో ఈ విధానము, and which is again very very unique in terms of application to a large number of people. ఎక్కడైనా ఎక్స్పెరిమెంటల్గా చేసిండొచ్చు కానీ, సో A grade మోడల్స్ అనేది మధ్యాహ్నము Nayak will make a presentation on this, so I will not say much here, but mainly 1 acre of land is now becoming equal to 3 acres of land. And then we have crops throughout the year. Prati pradhana pantaki 4 to 6 associated crops you saw in Nagendrama's video, and 25 biodiversity crops. Now this is very important. This is again a very unique innovation coming from Anantapur. So where we are demonstrating pest attack chesna parvaledu. If you have this kind of biodiversity, predator population will automatically come up and manage the pests so that there is a balance. And after this innovation, I checked with experts across the world. And they are telling me research is showing pest attack is good for the plants. So if the pest attack is not there, the taste of that crop will be different from if the pest attack is there. Of course, if there's too much pest attack, you won't get any crop. But there is, so some amount of pest attack is good. So there's a research done in France where they, with grapes. So the grapes which had pest attack were sweeter than the grapes with zero pest. Similarly about coffee flavor, there's an experiment in South America. So there's a lot of research happening around the role of pests, which we need to be aware of. Next. So on this basis, and this is where I think we in the latter part, we would like the JDS also to get involved in developing this A-grade farmers, A-grade crop models, ATM models ద్వారా రైతులకు నెలకు 25,000 రూపాయల ఆదాయం రావాలనేది లక్ష్యం పెట్టుకున్నాం. And this is going to be very important. We have also promised the Chief Minister. Skill development వాళ్ళు కూడా చూస్తున్నారు. So then beyond A grade also చెట్లు incorporate చేస్తే. So that is how horticulture, agriculture are going to be blended into the same farmer. So every farmer should have agriculture, should have horticulture and should have livestock. So all three departments should flourish. So it's not agriculture versus horticulture versus animal husbandry. So I want all departments to flourish, but provided you put on ground these plots of land. So this is a solution to the challenge put to you by Special CS. So there is no threat. For me, photosynthesis ఏవి చేస్తాయి అన్నీ ఒకటే. ఫారెస్ట్ కూడా మనదే, హార్టికల్చర్ మనదే, అగ్రికల్చర్ కూడా మనదే. సో అండ్ వాట్ క్రియేట్స్ bio-stimulants ఆర్ ది లైవ్ స్టాక్. సో ఇట్స్ ఎ complete cycle. But most important, last point, last bullet here is, ఈ ప్రాక్టీసెస్ వల్ల not only for farmers' income, ఈ crop diversity, 365 days green cover is best for climate resilience. So for me, and crop biodiversity leads to better nutrition density in the food that we eat. So okavaipu farmers' income we are multiplying. Secondly, that food is the most nutritious food you can get, rather than from food coming from monocrops. And third, this is the best for soil, for climate resilience. This is the ATM model. I think all the JDS also know this ATM model. Yeah, so this is very important. Special CS mentioned about 30 lakh hectares. How do we bring them to life? So we have to have a plan of action. So ఇది లాస్ట్ ఇయర్ ఎల్ నీనియో వల్ల ఇది ఎక్స్పెరిమెంట్ చేశాము. అండ్ నెక్స్ట్ స్లైడ్. దిస్ నాయక్ విల్ ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ హియర్. 3 feet డిస్టెన్స్తో ఒక 5 రకాల పంటలు విత్ పెలెటెడ్ సీడ్స్ సో చేశాము. దిస్ ఫ్రమ్ ప్రకాశం కదా, నో పల్నాడు. సో షీ గాట్ ఎ క్రాప్ వెన్ నోబడి గాట్ ఎ క్రాప్ through the drought proofing model. So from the United Nations World Food Program, we have got some other best models of greening the desert. So half moon models ani akada Burkina Faso lo experiment chesharu. So we are getting, so I think I requested Nayak to test both the models in Anantapur. So that hold the secret to restoring the degraded lands. All of you know that this is government support, knowledge, but most important is the women's self-help groups, role of women's self-help groups. All of you know this. And then the CRP system that we have. So the Mahila Sanghala involvement makes our project very special. This kind of a system is not there in any country to this extent. And also other states have learned from us. So the role of women is very critical in our APCNF and the CRP system. So only the best practicing farmer can be a trainer and a Siddhantamu. We are taken to a very logical conclusion. But this is so farmer, best practicing farmer is the best trainer. So only they should advise. ICT, next. Yeah, so this is something which Special CS mentioned in the morning, that we cannot be in a hurry. Each farmer takes her own time because family negotiations jarutayi. So we are saying we will support the farmers till the completion of the transformation. సో 2016లో ఏ గ్రామాల్లో పనిచేస్తున్నామో అక్కడ కూడా పనిచేస్తాం ఇప్పుడు కూడా టిల్ ది ట్రాన్స్ఫర్మేషన్ ఈజ్ కంప్లీటెడ్. వెరాజ్ ఇన్ అదర్ స్టేట్స్ ఆ 3 years అయిపోతానే వేరే గ్రామానికి వెళ్తున్నారు, ఆ డీబీటీ డిస్ట్రిబ్యూట్ చేస్తున్నారు. హాఫ్ ద యూనిట్ కాస్ట్ ఈజ్ డీబీటీ దేర్ అండ్ ది అదర్ హాఫ్ ఇన్ డిస్ట్రిబ్యూషన్ ఆఫ్ సమ్ ఇన్పుట్స్ ఎట్సెట్రా. బట్ 3 years తర్వాత పని అయిపోయిందని దే ఆర్ మూవింగ్ టు అనదర్ విలేజ్. సో అంటే ఒక గ్రామానికి వెళ్తే రైతులందరినీ కవర్ చేయాలనేది దట్స్ అవర్ మోడల్ హియర్. యా, సో దిస్ ఇస్ ద ప్లాన్ నౌ ఫర్ ద నెక్స్ట్ 5 years. We have to reach 40 lakhs in 28-29, 20 lakh hectares, and out of 20 lakh landless poor, we should reach 17 lakhs. So they should be the ones we target the first. ATM model dwara, kitchen gardens, whatever be the way. Of course, we, Special CS and I, will do our best to mobilize the resources. So this we already explained. Ramarao garu chepparu, we are present in multiple states, and these are also the different countries. And what we have highlighted yellow is where our farmers are likely to go to these countries. So we are having a delegation from Mexico coming in September, Rwanda, Malawi, Kenya and Zambia in Africa, Egypt and UAE lo Sharjah, then Sri Lanka and Indonesia. And hopefully now Portugal people also will invite us, invite our farmers. Because the problems are same everywhere, every country. So they're all appreciating our solution as the best solution and they want to learn from us. Now this is a very important part. As I said, not much effort is happening in research in natural farming. But without doing any research, then you are saying where is the science? So we are saying we'll invest in this and also do it differently from the way it is done. So this academy is the beginning of that. Government of Germany is giving us about 170 crores. Next. There is, as I mentioned in the earlier slide, we are investing in other institutions to do research. ICR gani, mana universities gani, 1 or 2 global universities also. But this is something very important, very special, that we want to develop farmers as farmer scientists. And this in collaboration with other scientists, to me, we will provide a very large scale living laboratory for the whole world. So this course is running now. It's a 4-year course and perhaps in the afternoon some time will be spent on this course. But ikkada parikshal pass kavadam valla BSc degree raadu. They have to earn. So they have to showcase that they are earning 25,000 rupees per month. Degree ravalante. They have to also do experiments in their own field. They have to also adopt 50 farmers over 4 years. And then pass the exams. So it's not just passing the exams and getting a degree. So there are about 520 farmer scientists and 184 mentors unaru. So one of my requests will be to spend your time going into these fields and also helping them, understanding what they are doing. Next. So what is it that has shifted in our knowledge? And first and foremost, soil is a living entity. We should not forget that. Not fully understood, because even today less than 1% of the microbes in the soil have been characterized. So role of microbes is very critical. The second paradigm shift is plants feed the soil. It's not that plants are extracting nutrients from the soil, plants are first feeding the soil. And in exchange they are getting some small quantity as nutrients. And nutrients are biologically mediated. Crop diversity is critical, which goes against our current practice of monocrop. And fourth is understanding that nutrient acquisition by plants is very complex. It's not as simple as we thought. So there are soluble inputs, microbially mediated inputs, and rhizophagy. But we are very clear, no external inputs are required, synthetic or organic. Next. All plants fix nitrogen. I didn't know this till I got into this. లేకుంటే లెగ్యూమ్సే నైట్రోజన్ ఫిక్స్ చేస్తే అనేది ఒక పాపులర్ అండర్స్టాండింగ్. సో దేర్ ఆర్ వాట్ ఆర్ కాల్డ్ as free fixing bacteria for nitrogen, and that's why the root structure is very important. Then weeds. So see, weed does not know it's a weed. అవకాశం వచ్చింది కాబట్టి it is coming up. So when the bacterial and fungal ratio in the soil changes, weed management becomes easier. So if you have fungal bacterial ratio, because most of our soils are bacterially dominated, so weeds automatically వస్తాయి. So when the soil becomes 1:1 fungal bacterial ratio, then automatically weeds get suppressed. So చాలా మంది ప్రకృతి వ్యవసాయం చేసి soils have become rich, then they say the weeds have come down. Then pest management is the biggest discovery, that zero pest management is the best solution. Crop diversity will take care of this pest management. So this is my answer to all those who say that food and nutrition security be compromised. Ante it's already compromised because of the agriculture we are doing. So it's only a different kind of agriculture, natural farming, in harmony with nature, which can take care of the food and nutrition security. That's why I feel farmers are very, very poorly rewarded. Farmers are gods according to me, facing so many odds. Next. This one shows what is the importance of soil temperature.
Just recently in April we visited Anabaturam in Andhra Pradesh, studying the impact of natural farming versus chemical farming. On the first video we'll see that the soil temperature was up around the 77-degree mark. When you look at the soil temperature and the impact on that site, there's a large amount going on. It's irradiating at 74 degrees. The soil can go above 80-90 degrees Celsius, which is catastrophic for any landscape. Bare soil has got no receptors or dispersal points, so that soil is just hitting the shortwave radiation is coming in, hitting the soil and bouncing out as long-wave radiation multiplied by Kelvin 4, which means it is catastrophic and it has major implications to the world's greenhouse gases and overheating of the planet. What's so beautiful about this story is 10 metres to my right, there is the natural farming. Now, natural farming is so amazing. We walk into the site, you'll see the site on the video, temperature readings of 26 degrees to 30 degrees consistently across the site. It is incredibly cool. We have 365 days a year ground cover. These people, as soon as they harvest a section of the crop, it is replanted immediately with something else. The soil biology is truly beautiful. It has a wonderful carbon soil sponge. It has high water infiltration. It has longevity of green growth, and it's cool. Which is just showing how the reflection of irradiated heat is dispersed. That reflection is not reflected out as heat. It's taken in by the plants and dispersed. India is leading the way, the cooling of the planet. This sort of farming can be rolled out across the world.
So this video is so important to tell you why we cannot have bare soils. So what he saw on the bare soil, 70 degrees centigrade soil temperature. Ade pakka field lo 30 degrees centigrade. So you cannot afford to have bare soils. It's not good for our health. It's not good for the planet. So that's why I put cooling of the planet. So globally, many scientific organizations are interested to work with us because of this. Thank you very much for the attention. I have given lectures to many countries in the world, but first time I am addressing all the joint directors of agriculture in Andhra Pradesh. So I have addressed almost every state. I have addressed all the ICR scientists, CGIR scientists. So that was a very special occasion, Dilli Rao. Thank you very much.